Okay, excellent. We will get started here in a moment. I think as attendees are trickling in from the waiting room, super excited to be here with you all today. Okay, let's go ahead and jump in. I think we've got most of our attendees who are waiting in, and then we'll get a few more trickling in. Very excited from the MSI team to be able to share a product update and give some insight into the roadmap and some things that we're shipping here in the very near future, and then some stuff that we're working on for the remainder of the year. So give you an early look at where we're headed. And, as part of this, you'll get a survey at the end. We would love to hear your feedback on how we're doing and the direction that we're going. So just a quick intro. If I haven't had an opportunity to connect with you either in person through one of our road shows, or maybe we haven't met virtually or through a webinar, my name is Michael Gonzalez. I'm the Chief Executive Officer here at MSI. It'll be a year in October. This has been the fastest moving year in my entire career in technology. And I've worked with some great companies in the past, with Apple and Salesforce and Western Digital. Very, very fast-paced environments. But I can tell you, just since joining in October, the pace of innovation, the things that we've been doing and delivering for our customers has been incredibly fast. AI is just incredible in terms of how fast it's moving. I've never seen anything like it in my career. I'm coming up on 20 years in a tech career, so this has been a really, really intriguing time. So very excited to be here and just to share a bit about what we're up to and how we're leveraging a lot of this AI you're hearing in the news today and putting it into the product to help deliver more value for you. And so really what I wanted to start off is just, you hear a lot of noise. So there's a new model that is being released, feels like almost every week, that has passed the latest, greatest model out there. A lot of noise recently with Anthropic and Fable 5 and having it go live and then pulling it back and now live again. And so there's just a lot of innovation that's happening, and we really understand from our customer base, hey, it's really difficult to keep track of the things that matter. So what I want to do is, let's just cut through the noise a bit. Let's talk about 3 shifts that really matter for service organizations today. So 3 things, 3 takeaways as you go and you look at the news. There's a lot being thrown at you, maybe your LinkedIn feeds, your inboxes, your news apps. So let's talk about 3 things that really matter for your organization, 3 things to really key on that I think are important for you to take away from this. And many of you may already know these things as well. We know we've got a lot of AI experts out in our customer base, and the prospects that are coming in also just have a lot of really great knowledge about what's going on in the market. But let's talk about these 3. AI today, the way that agents are able to go through and actually fully own and automate end-to-end processes, they can do some really sophisticated things. They're going well beyond answering questions. So they're not just a chatbot that sits there and provides information about where your order is, information about the case that you filed with some company. They really are now in this place where they can actually understand the nuances of your business processes and execute end-to-end workflows. One of the most incredible things that I've seen is that a lot of the agents and these companies that are investing really heavily in building out just rapid innovations, like the agents can go through and they can write entire apps today. So they can rewrite entire applications. So they could do some really sophisticated things. So if you think back to just a couple of years ago, yeah, it was really just about, hey, when's my order going to arrive? From some web-based retailer. But now today it's, go through and write this part of the application for me, or really tell me how to transform my business and take it to the next level. So really, really fast innovation, and they could do a heck of a lot more today than maybe what you realize. That second one in the middle speaks true for any service organization that I've talked to, and I've worked with many of them throughout my career at Salesforce, to being here at MSI for pretty close to a year now. And what I understand clearly, I've been out in the field with your technicians. They work in the real world, and the real world is it's images, it's sound, it's video, and so there's a lot of paper that still exists in your service operations today. And what AI can really do today is take all those inputs. Sometimes you hear it called multimodal inputs, things like video, sound, images. And AI can go through and it can interpret that information and turn it into data that's meaningful for your operations. And is really incredible in what you can see. You see now voice transcriptions are now about a quarter second in noisy conditions. It's pretty awesome to see exactly how these AI companies have started to really invest in this, and we're able to take those platforms in and turn them into functionality that is meaningful for your technicians. So very excited about all the innovation that's happening with all those different types of inputs. And then the last part is just the intelligence is just really abundant at this point. The cost of using and running AI in your organizations, things that you did a couple of years ago, you get 60 times more AI dollar. What used to cost $30 for a specific type of function or specific type of execution from an agent 3 years ago, that cost around 50 cents today. So what does that really mean for your organization? Now you don't just have to have agents in there doing the really high-powered, very complex one pinpoint solution. You can actually have them go in and touch more parts of the data to help get the overall operation running just more efficiently. And so now the cost really doesn't become a prohibitor anymore. Now you have an advantage there, I think, as well. So keep these three in mind, as you go in and you think about where you want to implement, where you want to put AI into your organizations. These are three realities today that that you'll start to recognize and see as you get hands-on and you start putting AI into your service operations. And so what we want to focus on today is that's what's happening really at the macro, at the overall AI industry level, and how we can apply it to service organizations. But let's talk about specific problems that we've been hearing clearly from our customers. And so overall, there's just there's a service profitability problem. There's leaking revenue. There's a lot of inefficiencies. There's disconnected systems. And so let's double click into a few of the problems that we're hearing from organization leaders just like yourselves. The first one is that we love our people. People are incredibly important to the success of each one of these service organizations. The technicians that are out there that are out sweating and turning wrenches and interfacing with customers are absolutely mission critical people and resources to making things successful for your companies. But on the flip side of things is they are very overloaded. And the data that needs to get back into the system so you can do things like bill and you can warranty claim. The people, unfortunately, they become a bottleneck in this. So the data sits with them. It sits really in their brains. It sits on a piece of paper, and it doesn't make it back into the system of record fast enough. And so there's a big opportunity there in order to leverage AI and how we've been thinking about just helping support people, keep them in the workflows that they're used to executing, keep them in the things they're used to doing, but let's equip them with tools to help remove the pain of having to go through and enter data back into the system. The next one I hear, and I've heard this from a lot of C-level leaders, pretty much anytime that we have a conversation about some of the key pain points and challenges, the one big thing it comes back to pretty often is not only are my people not getting data into the system, but even all these integrations, these ERPs, these field service management, FSMs, these CRMs, we spent a ton of money and they don't really talk to each other in the way that we really want them to. And people across different cross-functional paths, like they don't really use the data that we're trying to get into their hands. And so with all of those integration, those implementation costs, the systems still struggle to talk to each other in a way that you really want them to. And so what that really means is that there's a lot of revenue that gets lost because of these process gaps in between these systems. And so, for example, if a technician is out there, they observe problems with a particular customer that can translate into an opportunity. The information that gets put into the FSM, into Service Pro, eventually doesn't make it back into the CRM, which could empower that sales team to understand, hey, you know what, there's an aging asset that's there on site. We've been out there to go and service this a bunch, and there's a really good opportunity to go and sell the customer something new here. And so that connection between those two systems gets lost, and then you miss out on opportunities there. And the last one that we hear is that there's a tremendous amount of data being created by by you all. You have a lot of data that's coming into Service Pro. There's a lot of data going into the ERP. There's data going back and forth. But what ends up happening is that you don't have the visibility into the data in a real-time manner and in a way that you can visualize and take action on it. And that you end up missing things, right? We have a lot of customers that we hear, hey, we only get the number every week or the numbers every other week. And we can't respond as quickly as we would like. And it's very difficult for us to take action, in a timely way. So where we see opportunity is with real-time data and being able to go through and have not only the data available, but to be able to interpret it in a meaningful way. You can have 5 times faster resolution for issues. This gets into that point to where you can be more proactive. And we've heard that consistently across our customer base. We don't want to be just a reactive service provider. We want to actually be proactive and catch problems before they happen. And so a bit of that, what I want to do next is talk a bit about the job lifecycle in field service. And so we've worked with a lot of customers to build just a base mapping of what the job lifecycle looks like. And I think when you go through and you visualize this, then you understand the complexities and what you need to have happen in order to get that perfect execution. There's a lot of human touch points, a lot of different pieces of software, a lot of different integration points. And this is really just the base. We actually have customers, and we'll show an example later today, where there's actually more steps and more complexity in the system. But starting here with the intake and triage, just that first thing, when a customer reports an issue, they have to call in, someone has to record the data. And between those 2 touch points, there's different systems that are at play there. There's different people that are involved. And you don't always get a picture perfect view of what that customer issue is. And so that is one point where really at the start of the job, you already have some upstream problems that are going to affect how that technician executes it and how that ultimately gets invoiced out. So in the next part, where it's really common within the workflows, you have scheduling and dispatch. So understanding which technician has the right parts, can make it at the time that the customer needs. There's a negotiation between the customer and the service operation about when to come on site. And so there's a lot of human touch points there as well. A lot of time gets taken in here, and we hear that this is a very costly place for a lot of service organizations today, just that back and forth, and then sending the technician and maybe having a problem where maybe it wasn't the tech, they didn't have the right skills, maybe they weren't equipped with the right parts. So it becomes a pretty big problem for them. What we envision is having agents along the way to be able to help be this safety net to capture those issues and to be able to fill in the data so that things can be complete when you go through and you handle the scheduling and ultimately get that out to a technician. And then so for the techs, right? Once that job is booked, once that tech has got that parts in hand, now they have to go through and they have to travel out to the customer. And so just that preview of what is that job that I'm there going on site to go and execute. Who do I need to go talk to? Where do I park the van? What parts do I need to have? Who was here last? What's the service history of that asset? There's a ton of information that could be incredibly valuable for those technicians. And oftentimes they miss it. The data is structured in a way that doesn't make it easy for them to go through and look. There are gaps. Maybe the customer reported a problem with an asset, but it's not the right asset that the technician thinks they're going on site to go and solve. And so all those types of problems, once again, you have another touch point. You've got more people in the loop. You have more systems that are that are involved, and a lot of data that's sifting through the cracks here. And then next up, that technician goes on site. They have inspections. They need to fill out the data there. But we also know that technicians aren't the best at filling that information out. Sometimes there's gaps. Sometimes there's information that's missing. And so what that's going to result in for you is you may not be able to invoice properly. You may have given a customer a set of freebies that maybe you didn't really want to. Maybe that service visit probably cost you, maybe even cost you a bit more than what you had forecasted. And so all of that information, once again, that tech needs to go through and capture on site, there's opportunities for AI to come in and once again be that safety net, to also be that individual that goes through and nudges those technicians to get the right information in there, to guide them and make sure that, hey, you know what, when I leave that job, I've already got the data recorded. I don't have to go back and think about it a week later when someone calls from the back office and asks me for what I did when I was on that customer site. And then that last part, that debrief, is really important from what we're hearing from our customers. And so even the customers that have been involved in our AI trial and that have purchased AI from us are telling us that, hey, that post-job debrief, that really is critical. If we don't understand clearly what that technician did on site, we don't know if there's a warranty claim opportunity. We don't know how to really invoice the customer the right way. That really drives up the amount of days it takes for us to successfully send that invoice out. I send a technician out, the tech solves a problem, and I don't invoice them for a few weeks, which is a huge gap in time. And the last but not least, you know, in the situations where there's an asset that has a warranty related issue, right? You have to be able to capture all the information. How many hours did the technician work on site? What was the driving distance? What parts needed to come back? What parts needed to get sent back to the manufacturer? So once again, a ton of information. And yet another set of systems that have to be involved, those dealer or those manufacturer systems, where you have to go back in and input the information. It's another point. So, you know, just the key takeaway here, there's a lot that goes on. There's a lot of magic here that happens in order to get to a successful completion of a job. There's a lot of data being created and a lot of data that really needs to be done perfectly in a lot of steps here. So there's complexity here to go through and make it work. And so that's where we see the opportunities to be able to fit in AI solutions to really help with this, make it simpler. Don't change what technicians, don't change what you're doing in the back office, but have those agents be that safety net to move things along. And so just to wrap up here, we're going to go into a discussion with one of our amazing customers. I just want to give you a sense of exactly how Service Pro AI works across the different stacks that you have set up and that you're using to run your service operations. And so at the very bottom, the foundational stuff, really what all the apps are built for is getting data into the system. So how do we get information about those assets? How do we get information into the systems that we can go out and send invoices? How do we get updated contract information? And so down at the bottom of everything has to result in some sort of transaction to get data in the system. That data is really critical to powering your operation. And so what we have on top of this, those data objects, which the data objects can live inside of your field service management solution. So they live inside of Service Pro. They live inside of your ERP. They even live inside of your CRM as well. And then there's a set of APIs that sit up at the next level. And those APIs, that's what you are able to use to interface, from the apps on down through to the database. So there's API, the Service Pro API. We have ERP integrations with NetSuite and Sage and Epicor. There's this new term around functional MCPs, which let all the AI agents go through and work with those APIs in a pretty frictionless way. And so that's the glue that's going to be able to get all the agents and all the different apps to be able to interact with that data. And so on top of that, we have agents that are now injected into the system. They live inside of your field execution. They live inside of your revenue processes. They even live inside of your equipment with all the data that's being created there. So we can go through, we can aggregate that. We can take manuals to get a really good understanding of when that asset needs to be serviced next. And last but not least, we have the services or those experiences set up on top. So Service Pro AI, Service Pro 10, your ERP apps. And what we're seeing even now too is this emerging area that's really important for us to understand really well how the field and how the back office is using them. SMS, phone calls, Teams, even Slack. So these are the places where a lot of data is actually being created and captured, but it doesn't come back into the system of record. So there's a lot of info that goes back and forth in maybe a group WhatsApp chat or an SMS, or maybe even a phone call from that back office to the technician. And what we're seeing is that a lot of the data slips through the cracks there. And so what we see is an opportunity to inject agents into those experiences as well. The places where there's actually no training for how to use those, your techs, your back office, everyone already knows how to use those things. But let's have an agent come into those systems to be able to understand how to pull in that data and ultimately put it back on through down to using those APIs into those data objects so you can successfully invoice your customers. And so we want to pivot just for a moment here and talk to Rosie Kaplan from Gulf Coast Boiler. Rosie has been an incredible partner with us on this AI journey. When we first met, she was really excited about just AI solutions in general. And so just her energy and eagerness to go through and adopt and work with us on the Service Pro AI trial was really great. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing here and ask Rosie to join me just for a quick fireside chat here. And Rosie, tell us a little bit about Gulf Coast and yourself. So we'd love to learn a little bit more in your own
Yeah,
words.
thanks. Thanks for having me today. My name is Rosie Kaplan, and I'm the COO of GCB Industries. And I, one of the main focuses that I have really wanted to focus on is bringing AI into or throughout our organization. GCB is a service company, boiler service company, and our customers are both commercial and industrial. We're a national company, so we work throughout the US. And, we do jobs anywhere from smaller service calls up to multi-million dollar projects. So we have our field service guys that are junior, and then we have some really technical, advanced technicians. So I knew that nowadays, if I didn't somehow try to bring in AI throughout the organization, that we would probably be left behind. So that's been a primary focus, and so I've been very excited to be a part of this with you guys here at Service Pro.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And for sure, I think I remember when we first met, like that was your sentiment of like, hey, we don't want to get left behind. I'm really excited about all these AI innovations that are out there. There's a lot of really cool generative stuff that's happened in the last few years. So we want to take advantage of it. And so when we looked at Service Pro AI, when you were kicking the tires and understanding what it does, like what called to you there? Like what use case or what feature did you see that you were like, yes, like that's the thing that I want to start with?
Um, it was the idea of it being able to take what the technicians were doing and summarizing it for them, as well as allowing us. One of the biggest things that we want to focus on is training for our technicians and bringing in the junior guys and sometimes for a company, the training piece could be hard because you can't really bill for them all the time. And so putting them on jobs that until they're ready. And so knowing that we could input manuals and all the information that we would know that potentially they would be needing, and utilizing that to help them if they needed help troubleshooting, aside from always having to call our service manager or one of our technical support people here at GCB.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. And those use cases, I think, have resonated with a lot of other customers. I think on the first one, that job summaries, that the post-work summaries, like those are like we have yet to meet a technician that likes to actually type those things out. So you know exactly what they're going to give you, at the end of it. So having AI in there to be able to help, and then yeah, just on those texts to be able to give them that backstop of AI agent that's already trained and focused specifically on the manuals has been a big help for a lot of techs in the field. So yeah,
Yeah,
thanks for sharing those. Yeah.
and I think also just knowing that it's not searching just the web, and it's
Hmm.
searching the data bank that we have given it, because with AI sometimes it's searching that data bank that
Oh,
isn't.
yeah. Yeah, we've seen it. It hallucinates still from time to
Yes.
time for sure. Yeah. And so having it scoped to the things that you can trust, those sources of truth are super important. Yeah, I like that. That's a great point. And then so we last time we had a webinar, we launched this pre-job brief. So it was that taking all that information that I kind of mentioned at when I was going through that build slide of your techs have to have all this info about the customer, about when this asset was serviced last, details that get really lost and are in the database. So I understand that you went off. You're pretty excited about that feature, and you've had a chance to run it through the technicians in the field. So, what's feedback been? How are you leveraging that, and what value are you seeing for it?
Yeah, I mean, that has been a huge help. A lot of our technicians would constantly be calling our dispatcher so they could ask her what the previous inspections were, previous, even who the previous technician was on that job. And by having these pre-job briefs, it, provides them already with that information or allows them to ask the AI agent information that they would want prior to going out on a job. So it really has helped summarize, um, for the technicians going out on jobs and allowing the dispatcher not to always have to provide that information to them.
Yeah, that's great. I like that example of yeah, the techs not having to go back and bug the dispatchers. We've also heard from customers, like the customer's customer gets happier too because that tech isn't going on site and like asking them 100 questions again, while they had already talked to someone and gave all the info that they needed. So yeah, that really great feedback, and glad to hear that that's been working out pretty well for you. Um, One of the things that has been important for us throughout this trial process is getting really close and in touch with our customers as they're going through and they're getting hands-on with Service Pro AI. So maybe you can talk a little bit about how that's worked for you, and if it hasn't, feel free to raise it here. It's a good time to put it in front of me, but like I would love to just understand kind of how that high touch engagement that we've had has been working.
Oh yeah, I mean, that has been probably one of the coolest things is being able to work with you guys and really providing the feedback and getting you guys to listen and essentially, helping us I don't want to say building it around what we're saying, but like it
Yeah.
does kind of feel that way. I mean, it's the AI world is constantly changing, and I think that you guys are very aware of that and have been providing, us with the feedback that we give you, really taking that in and implementing it. So that's been a really cool piece of working so closely with you guys.
Yeah, that's great to hear, and it's one of the things that the team hears pretty consistently from me, and they get the pressure of just the pace of AI. It's like one of the things that we want to do is really just try to capitalize on everything that's going on. So to your point, yeah, your feedback comes in, and we will go through and develop it, and it's not a matter of months or sometimes even weeks to get fixes or improvements out. We can do it in a matter of days. So it is exciting to see. And then the other part too is like the high touch engagement has been great for us to be able to learn more about your business and what are the workflows you need and where does the data need to go, and how do we just help you go through and adopt it. So it's been a great partnership, and the team definitely appreciates working with GCB. One thing that I'm curious about, like you've worked with our AI product, you've seen a lot of really great AI innovations kind of out in the market. What are you excited about next? Like where should we go? If you had that set of features or capabilities, or maybe a part of your business you want us to really help you go solve, like what do you think is next?
Yeah,
What should we go do?
I think that one of the biggest things that I'm really looking forward to is being able to have the AI understand or create our exact way of creating a service report. So us being able
Mhm.
to put in a template on, a certain combustion report that we need and, what we expect our technicians to have in their service report and really have it, as the technicians are out in the field and they're inputting the work performed, it could then prompt them, if they miss a certain number that they were supposed to put in, or
Yeah.
if they didn't input, if they used material or not, it would prompt them to say, was their material used? So it would take the template that we would input it into, I guess, the data bank and
Yep.
or different templates, um, and and then triggering that to prompt the technician. So
Great. Yeah, I
that's
love that.
something
And
that I'm.
yeah, I love it. And that's like a lot of feedback we've been hearing from customers as well. It's the same thing. like that template, that knowing what data needs to come into the system, what type of job was it, and then just getting it back from the technician in a way that, the tech doesn't have to really think too hard about it or even go in and open up apps and fill in, new inspections. Like that is directionally, I think where we really need to go next. And kind of speaks to the outcomes we've been hearing that customers really want to, implement. Or like those service reports are really critical for you to do things like bill customers, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, so
And
great.
and not and spending less time having the back office clean up,
Yes,
what goes out, right? And that's something that I know that as a service company and hearing other service companies, you always have that one person or multiple people that are cleaning up what goes out, and to be able to really kind of make that a lot more efficient.
yeah, for sure. And we've heard that as well. Lots of customers that have been on the AI journey with us, their back office, they notice this switch over from 1 week, and they're like, "My gosh, like what changed? Like, are the techs not writing it? Like, who's doing their homework for them?" So it's yeah, it's been really eye opening and great feedback there. Well, Rosie, I appreciate you taking the time, and I know that the customers here on the call, like they had probably got a lot of value out of that. So I appreciate it. And thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
And so I'm going to pass it off to Bill next. And Bill is going to cover some exciting new innovations that are landing here within the next few days and weeks. And then we'll round it out with a longer term view of the roadmap. And when we say long term in the age of AI, we're not talking about, years from now. We're talking really just a few months. So Bill, give us the near term here.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, Michael. All right, so we're going to talk about a couple new features that we've rolled out. First of which, we've heard you loud and clear. We needed to develop Service Pro AI and Service Pro Mobile to make it feel more like a single app experience. The technicians were struggling with bouncing back and forth between the mobile app today and the browser. So what we did to address that is actually embed links into Service Pro Mobile that'll take users straight into Service Pro AI. Technicians that use iOS today will already see these links, and we're going to be coming out with that same update for Android users shortly here. And since the technician is already signed into the mobile app, it's going to be a seamless experience for them to jump straight into it. So we'll watch a short clip here. So the first link is going to be through that help menu or the menu itself. They could just click that, launch straight into Service Pro AI. Or better yet, if they click into an appointment, you'll see that icon on the top right. It's going to launch them straight into Service Pro AI and have that appointment in focus for them. So in this case, if there was a job prep brief that had generated, or if this order had a piece of equipment on it, Service Pro AI is going to recognize, hey, this is the appointment that I'm working on today.
Great, love it.
Yeah. The next feature we've got, we're calling it the catalog query. So we learned that sometimes technicians just want to be able to see what manuals have been uploaded to the Service Pro AI library. By checking to see what documentation exists before they start asking those troubleshooting questions, that's going to ensure that they know which manuals are out there. And it's also going to let the technicians click into those PDFs, and if they wanted to, just search the manuals themselves. So the catalog search plays nicely with the technician manual upload feature, which we'll talk about next. But first, let's take a look at what that catalog query looks like. So in this video, the first model number that I'm searching for is an E687. And what the agent's going to do is it's going to look at the library, look at what's been tagged on the different manuals, and it's going to return the manual that does exist. This next one, I'm going to be searching for an R5. In this case, we've got multiple manuals that exist within the library for that model number. So you'll see here it pulls back both. And as it's demonstrated here, you can actually click into that document and start paging through it if you want to find some information directly from that manual. All right. The next one, kind of hinted at this before, but technician manual upload. So let's say a technician searched the catalog for a specific model number or serial number and no results were found. Rather than calling into the back office to have somebody manually upload the manual, some of our customers have asked us to enable the technicians to handle this themselves. So now technicians can choose a file from their device, upload that to their chat session, and that's going to upload it directly to the Service Pro AI library. Those documents that they upload are also going to be available for other technicians to use for troubleshooting purposes in the future. So we did build this feature behind a setting that admins can turn on and off for their users. So if you would prefer, the admins or back office are still controlling the content of the library, that's still going to be an option for you. So let's watch a little short clip here that our product team put
If your
together.
techs have been using Service Pro AI, they may have already hit this moment. They're on a job, they need a manual, and it's just not in the library yet. Now you can fix that in seconds. First, the admin turns the feature on. Navigate to the library and flip on Allow technicians to upload manuals. When you do this, you'll notice that you have an additional filter, so you can see which manuals were uploaded by technicians. That's the only switch. You decide when your techs can add documents, and you can turn it off anytime. On the tech side, a tech asks Service Pro AI for a manual you don't have yet. They can attach the PDF right in the chat. Watch the progress bar. Service Pro AI uploads it, indexes it automatically, and tags it with the correct model. Once uploaded, the tech can add the manual to the workspace library, so it's searchable for the whole team.
All right. So we think that's really going to cut down on, technicians constantly bombarding folks for in the back office to upload manuals. So really excited about that one. And then the fourth one I wanted to go over today, which is actually coming out in the next few days here, we're calling Invoice Ready Notes. If you had attended our last webinar, we talked about the difference between headless agents and headful agents. This invoice agent is actually a headless agent, which means it runs automatically in the background for you and doesn't really require any human intervention to kick off. What it's going to do is it's going to monitor work orders based on certain settings that you define, and then produce invoice notes that are in that complaint cause correction or that 3Cs format. So really the goal here is to cut down on the time that your back office team is spending reviewing the notes from the technicians and having to compile them into a note that can be used for invoicing purposes. So in the next video, you're going to get a look at our redesigned settings page and also the options that are going to be available as part of the Invoice Ready Notes feature.
Invoice Ready Notes is the new feature that helps your back office turn on raw technician notes and the appointment summaries generated in Service Pro AI into a clean Invoice Ready note. First, as an admin, you have to enable the feature. Navigate to the settings, to the integration section. Make sure that your appointment summary writeback is turned on, so the agent can take the technician's raw notes, structure them, and write back an appointment summary to a UDF in Service Pro 10. The UDF I've picked is the SPAI Notes UDF. Second, enable Invoice Ready Notes. You can pick what triggers the agent to run. For example, an order status trigger or an appointment status trigger. For my example, I'll choose appointment status. When this is selected, the agent looks for when appointments are marked work completed or appointment completed. and then runs the note generation. Choose the source field it reads from. For me, it'll be the SPAI notes to match with the appointment summary write back. You can also choose the destination field. In my case, it'll be the pro forma invoice notes. Additionally, you can have the agent pull from inspection forms in Service Pro 10. For now, I'll leave this blank. Now you're ready to generate your note. You can see on my selected appointment, I have the pro forma invoice notes field. This is the field that the agent will write back to. Additionally, on my appointment, I have SPAI notes, which are the notes that are AI generated based on the raw notes that I put in. For the demo, I'll kick off the run manually so you can see it work. But in the day-to-day, the agent does this on its own, in the background, the moment your order or appointment status match the trigger. As we can see, the appointment status here is work completed. Now, the agent will read the SPAI notes and write the pro forma invoice note in a 3Cs format. When I refresh, I can see the generated note. The agent writes the note in the 3Cs, applying criteria that strips out travel time, foul language, and any mentions of the first person. Technical readings and details are preserved. The agent also reruns on its own every 15 minutes to look for data changes in your selected source field, so the write back invoice ready note is always staying current.
So super excited for that one to be officially released in a few days here. And obviously for those that are in the trial period right now, we can discuss next steps on how that note can kind of help you get information back into the ERP. But with that, I'm going to pass it back to Michael. He's going to go through a future feature.
Yeah, great. Very exciting stuff, Bill. I stand corrected. I think I said weeks away, and you've corrected me days away. So it's really awesome, yeah, to see those innovations coming. And yeah, so for customers that have already purchased Service Pro AI, for customers who are in the trial program, you'll be able to get hands-on with all of that, here in the near future. So really excited about seeing that. And so what we're going to talk about next, just some future features. One thing I do want to call out, just give a shout out to Alok Patel. He couldn't join us on this webinar because he is working on site with a customer this week, shaping what we're doing here in the future. And so just to give you a bit of insights into what we're doing, Alok and our lead architect, Victor Medina, they are on site with a customer, and we're building this capability alongside them. We're learning everything we need to know about their invoicing pipeline to really go and deliver an incredible end-to-end capability here. So maybe just a couple of things to highlight here. Just first and foremost, one of the things we've heard consistently from customers, once again, it's your feedback coming into us, is as they've gone through, they've sought opportunities for AI to really be injected into the system. In some cases, they've run ChatGPT, they've run Copilot, and they're getting a lot of hitting a lot of hurdles, because what they're doing is they're putting point solutions into their system, and it's not really impacting any key KPIs or any key business metrics that they can point to say, hey, you know what, that is really delivering an incredible ROI. I want to license this. I want to roll it out. I want to train all my technicians on it. So what we've learned is, hey, you know what? If we can actually get to a certain outcome, just get to a specific business related outcome that can really move the needle on my operation, that would be something that we would be willing to go through and really jump on and get to rolling out end to end and the full deployments. Early adopters in Service Pro AI have seen the same thing. They've gone through, they've used the features, they've run them successfully. Customers that have purchased it are very excited about what we're doing. And the one thing that that they've said is, hey, if we can double down and we could go through and we can impact our invoicing pipeline in a positive way, if we can drive down the amount of time it takes to invoice, and we can get a higher quality set of data that goes back into the system so that we don't leak revenue, like that is a very compelling thing for us to continue this AI journey and to really expand within our organization. So what we're focused on for the next few months, and what we're working hands-on with customers in their offices to co-build, is this time-to-invoice pipeline, so that we can put agents in and we can really impact this in a positive way and drive down the amount of time it takes to go from job completion to successfully invoicing that customer. So think of this as a team of agents, those 9 agents, because you saw the process that we had earlier on that build slide that showed, what it takes from the customer reporting an issue or plan maintenance all the way through to invoicing. So 9 agents along the way, really helping spur the data along. What we learned is to inject agents where the users are at. Don't go through and try to train them to go and do something else. If we want to make this as quick and easily adoptable as possible, put it to where all your techs and your back office are at, and really focus on driving this as an outcome, and be just insanely transparent about what we can do and how we're impacting this particular metric. So what I'll show you is just an early POC of what we're building. And like I said, we're working with customers hands-on with this to continue to shape it. Think of it as what we're doing with Service Pro AI. Now we're taking it to the next level and giving you a whole nother level of depth. And really what we want to answer is, if I'm deploying AI agents into my organization, what's that impact? What's that outcome that I can point back to and say, okay, yes, that is actually delivering value and really improving my business, and have that transparency to know exactly what those agents are doing. And so I'm going to flip over to this, and we've gone ahead and we've created step 1. Just put in your email and your password. For customers that have Service Pro 10, you have really 2 key components here, 2 systems that really have to work in harmony in order to get to that invoicing outcome that you want to drive, in your service operations. The first one is your FSM, so your Service Pro 10. And so, you log in with your credentials. What we envision is that you can log in. We'll go and we'll understand where the data is at today. We'll understand exactly how to map it into Service Pro AI. So we've got this centralized view of all the data that's been collected and that is essential for driving to that invoicing outcome. The next part that we understand very clearly is that your field service operation isn't just the FSM working in a silo. You really need it to work with your ERP, and you really need those 2 to talk to each other, and you need the data to flow back and forth in a way that's going to unblock and try to and move your organization to the outcomes you really care about. So the next one is logging into your Oracle NetSuite, if you have that, or your Sage or your Epicor, and going in and once again providing credentials, and then having the AI agents in a read-only mode to start with, to go in and just understand what is the data that's in there, and how do we go and map this into a centralized view that's going to help drive to those invoices. And so we'll go ahead and, just as easy as providing those credentials, go into the next step, which is just to go through and activate it. So where we want AI to really shine is really in the, not only in the outcomes, but we want it to be awesome and really easy in the setup. So we don't want you to have to go through and do mega implementations. A lot of AI companies today, they sell you on a set of features and capabilities. It's really difficult for you to determine the ROI. And by the way, here's a bill that you're going to need to agree to, for thousands and thousands of dollars in order to successfully implement it, without you even knowing the outcomes on the other end. Like, is this AI going to really do anything, or am I just throwing money at a problem that ultimately I'm not going to solve? And so, we envision just a 3-step process here. We've started to build this. It's looking really, really good right out of the gate. The next step, all you need to do is pick those channels. So like I said, we don't want your back office, your technicians, we don't want to disrupt their workflows. We just want to make the workflows just faster and more efficient. So keep them in the experiences that they're at, but also try to pick up and be that safety net in other channels that they are in today. So we know text each other. We know that the back office calls. We know that emails. We know that Slack. We know that Microsoft Teams are pretty important to running your organization, and that's where a lot of the data is. And so what we have is just a simple activation, deploy those agents into those places, and then just go. And so right here, right out of the gates, we want to be focused on the first problem, the first outcome that we want to solve is just, how do we solve your time to invoice problem? How do we go from weeks after the job was completed to invoicing to a number to days, and maybe eventually fully automated. And so this is the view that we have. So the agents, they're really just they're working in the background. They're working in this way where they're reacting to the data in real time, and they're going through and they're making recommendations, and they're nudging technicians, they're nudging the back office, and they're escalating to go through and really help drive this metric. And so here we start with 19 days, so full transparency. That's what that connection to both the ERP and the FSM gives us an understanding of the full pipeline of the data, a view to how many jobs, how many holds, and how much revenue is at risk. There's an overall trend here, which helps understand where you start and where we project that it needs to go to, and how we can go through and drive that down over time. And so this is really important. This is back to that transparency about what is AI going to deliver for me. It's not about just, hey, I'm going to sign up for a bunch of licenses, or I'm going to go and sign up for a consumption plan with a external AI vendor. We really just want to focus on, hey, what is it going to solve for me, and when is it going to deliver by? And so you have this view where we see the AI able to drive down that time and the projection here, so we can hold it accountable to delivering. We can flip this card over. We can understand really what some of the worst offenders are to these, to the overall graph. And so this gives you a plan to be able to go through and action them, and go and try to tackle these problems that are really impacting your overall time to invoice pipeline. And then your revenue recovery. So one of the things, and Rosie, she gave just a great example of how we think about it, is that, yeah, based on those templates, based on how you expect work to be completed in the field, based on the type of job and the type of inspections that are out there, ensuring that the data that needs to map back to that comes back into the system, right? So we know there's a huge revenue leakage problem when data doesn't make it back in, when the technician doesn't identify the parts that they use, when they don't register the amount of hours they spent on site. And so that information is really critical to be able to invoice accurately and to be able to go through and recover revenue. So what we have here is just total transparency about what revenue recovery looks like once you've deployed Service Pro AI to impact your end-to-end here. The next area right here, work orders by stage. So we looked at that slide earlier today where we looked at each one of the different components and steps in order to successfully go from the creation of a job to being able to invoice or warranty claim it. And we know that customers actually, if we go and we take that example, which already looked like it had a lot of steps, it was complicated, we blow it out for many of our customers, because we understand there's a lot of nuance in terms of how you need to drive that. So your work orders by stage, and understanding exactly where they're at any point in time, and being able to have this view, and from an operational standpoint, just to know where things are at any point in time within your business, but also just understand where do things get stuck. Does stuff get stuck with the office? Does the stuff get stuck in the labor and parts? Does it get stuck when you are trying to get parts onto the van? Does it get stuck in the invoice and build or the ERP syncs? And so once again, just looking at the entire pipeline, the full end-to-end of what it takes to go from job to successful invoice, what are all those steps? What are all the work orders in there? And then flagging when there's issues that need to be addressed by a human, being able to go through and click on it and being able to escalate. So here we go. We have one work order that's stuck here. The meter read's been missing for 4 days. It's blocking the overall quality review of the back office to ensure that it was done accurately, and it's holding up, about $1,180 from invoicing. So this insight, and then going through and escalating to a human. So click it, take action, and then now it's gone out to the technician. The technician can go through and review that. It can do it through an SMS if that's the fastest way to get a hold of that technician, or even call that technician. Something that someone in the back office would have to do is as a big part of their day job. Now they can offload that to an agent to go and handle that for them, capture the data, and then possibly impact the overall view on the invoicing pipeline here. And so once again, you have a work order that's stuck, a serial number mismatch, and the alternating line is blocking parts. And so we can go through, we can escalate to a human, and then we can go back out, verify that, and then get that unstuck and move it forward. And then a couple of other areas to call out here, a live activity view. So the big question is, what are those agents doing? If I don't see them doing things in the background, I want to have visibility into it. So a view where you have the agents working and you can see exactly, step by step what they're up to at any given point in time. any high level, any important exceptions and escalations that you have right here. And then last but not least, we have the data, we have access to it. So being able to go through and interrogate it and even use this as a conversational interface to be able to ask it questions. So a quick action, what jobs are ready to invoice, an HQ, you have 2 work orders sitting in review and approve, and so on. So this is the vision. This is what we're building. This is what we're very excited about, and we know is going to provide a lot of value for our customers. I'm going to switch back and pass it off to Bill to take us home here.
Perfect. All right. So I know we got a variety of, customers that have purchased on the call today, customers that are in the trial. Maybe you haven't even seen Service Pro AI before. If you fall into that latter category, would definitely encourage you to reach out to us and start engaging in the Service Pro AI trial. It's typically a 5 to 6 week program we'll run with you. You'll have a dedicated team supporting you through the process, weekly meetings to touch base on, troubleshooting tips or helpful prompts to ask the AI agents. We also talk about, settings and actually uploading content to your library. So if you haven't yet, would definitely encourage you to sign up here. On the next slide, we actually have a QR code. If you want to scan that, that'll get us your information, and then we can reach back out. But with that, we can move into the Q&A portion here.
Okay, great. We do have a number of questions that come in, and I know we only have a few minutes. So we're going to post some answers to some of the questions in the chat. So hopefully you can see that, and we can also follow up with you guys offline. We do have a question for Rosie. I think she is still on here. Rosie, how far in advance are your techs receiving their projects? The job prep brief is only visible 4 hours prior to a scheduled project arrival time set in Service Pro 10. Is that causing an issue for you?
Yeah, so I had discussed that with Bill. We had walked through some potential workarounds, but I do know that they are attempting to modify that, to make some changes to that, because we would like our techs to also be able to see it potentially sooner. And maybe Bill can.
Yeah, that's still something we're looking for additional feedback on. We've heard, could you just generate it when the appointment gets created? So it's definitely something we're still looking at, Eric, but right now it is just that 4 hours in advance of that scheduled appointment.
Okay, great. We've got a couple more minutes for a couple more questions. So Gorkum posted, since this is working under an app, AI can work offline is the question. Michael, you want to take that one or pass to Bill?
Yeah, it's a good question. So the AI itself won't work offline. You'll need a server connection to it. What we're building next is let's say, for example, you are in Service Pro Mobile, you are offline, a technician has done some work there. As that syncs back to the server, when it comes back online, that's when the AI can take in the data and interpret it, and then see if there's any additional needs that need to be, filled back in from a technician. We don't have local AI running on the device yet at this point, but something that we are considering for the roadmap in the future.
Okay, great. And looks like Julio was able to respond to Eddie. So you guys can take a look in the webinar chat to see that response. And we'll do one more here because we're coming right up at the top of the hour. From Lori, will the invoice ready notes be available to everyone, or is this something that is an add-on that has to be paid for?
Yeah, the invoice ready notes are AI generated, so they're part of the Service Pro AI offering. So in that case, yes, it is an add-on on there. I would encourage you to, not let that be a barrier to get hands-on and try it out first, and just make sure and validate that it does, because I do think it has a lot of value in, for what the license cost is versus what the impact and how it's going to really help your business. I think that the ROI story is really good there. The signals that we've had from customers are excellent there.
Okay, great. Well, that's it on the question side. We're right at the top of the hour. So thank you everyone for joining. Michael, if you want to close us out.
Yeah, no, once again, thank you everyone for joining. Appreciate the questions and the engagement. We will get back to you if we haven't or we weren't able to answer here in this forum. But thank you. We're really excited about that. And then once again, I think you'll get a follow-up survey. So please take a few moments to fill that out. It's important for us to know how we did and to make sure that every time we do one of these customer webinars that we are improving them. And so each one gets better and better based on your feedback. Thank you so much, everyone.